All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to enjoy this segment, I promise you. Joining us now is a face and a name that you are familiar with, Joy Ann Reid, national correspondent for MSNBC and author of a brand new book out today, Fracture: Barack Obama, the Clintons, and the Racial Divide. Good to see you.
It's so great to be here,
nice
Steve.
to see
Thank you.
All right, so let's talk about the book first. And yeah, you know, so many people expected so much, as you allude to, from Barack Obama, and it just hasn't happened. It's gone the other way. What do you attribute that to?
I actually think that a lot of what it is the very different, really opposite expectations that white Americans and black Americans had about what it would mean to have a first black president, quite frankly. I think when Barack Obama came on the scene, he kind of telegraphed that what he was going to do, and what I think the majority of white Americans wanted him to do was to help the country sort of transgress the racial divide, just sort of get past it, and that he would be the person that would talk us past race. Whereas African Americans have been for a very long time looking for a reckoning on race. They want to really dig deeper into some of the issues that black folk face every day in their daily lives, and they wanted a president who would give a catharsis on race. And those are two competing aims. And I think that when Barack Obama began to sort of do the other, what African Americans tend to do in our lives, which is talk about race, and he did it with the Trayvon Martin case especially, and he did it with Henry Louis Gates, that broke an expectation that a lot of people had that he wasn't going to do that. And I think the backlash against him followed.
Well, he jumped to a conclusion in the police case. He prefaced it by saying, the Gates case, I don't know what happened, but the police were wrong, which is a pretty stupid thing to say. If you don't know what happened, then why do you knock the police? And in Trayvon Martin, he was wrong because the courts bared out that George Zimmerman was innocent. So, I mean, you know, to me, it goes back to the campaign where, you know, he was far from a uniter. He said if, in a stop in Philadelphia in '08, if they bring a knife to the fight, I bring a gun. And nobody talks about that now, and they like to talk about Republican rhetoric, but he seems to get a pass on that kind of rhetoric.
Well, you have to remember that during the campaign, there was a lot of rhetoric that was, you know, discounting whether or not the president was truly an American. There was a lot of really divisive racial rhetoric he faced. But to go back to those two cases, what Barack Obama said about Henry Louis Gates, had he said it about a white friend, I don't know that it would have had the same impact.
Well, not a friend.
The reality
the cops
was,
acted
no, this is his
stupidly.
friend, right? And
yes.
if you think about it, this was a man who lived in his home, who was going into his own home, and was arrested going into his home.
We didn't know much of this at the time. Right. We didn't know what the circumstances
were.
were.
Well, we knew he was arrested going into his own home.
That could happen. I mean, a mistaken identity.
It probably wouldn't happen to you. It might happen to me.
No, that's not the point. I mean, to say the cops acted stupid, to say I don't know what happened, but the cops acted stupidly. I mean, to me, we could argue this and waste the rest of the time, but I think that's a pretty silly thing to say if you're president of the United States.
Well, I think that he was speaking as a man, he was speaking as a friend, and I actually don't. I think that there you go again with the divide, and I think that it's the way that African Americans and white Americans look at all issues facing policing. They just look at them in opposite ways. And on the second case, I covered the Trayvon Martin case, and I think what you saw there was at first the country agreed that this was an incredibly tragic death of a teenager, a teenage boy. Even Newt Gingrich, literally
because
24
of the way
hours
the media
before.
Presented it. The reason there's been no civil suit by the parents of Trayvon Martin,
but there was a civil suit. It was
because
settled.
Everything will have to come out.
Well, no, actually, the parents of Trayvon Martin settled what would have been a civil suit, and they wound up settling with the city as well as with the gated community that he lived in. Now, hold on a second. I understand that the people on the right and people not on the right have different sets of facts about this, and I think that's part of, you know, I think it was the perfect title for the book, because Americans at this stage are operating from two completely different pools of facts, and they are not agreeing on those facts, and therefore every argument is argued from two completely different facts.
He was found not guilty.
Right, and you said innocent before, which actually is not true.
Not guilty.
A jury not being able to convict someone, and we can talk about the
prosecution,
prosecution,
which didn't
try very hard, let's just say.
Oh, they didn't try very hard.
But O.J. Simpson was found not guilty. I doubt that you believed O.J. Simpson was innocent,
no,
right?
I don't believe
so
he was
there you
innocent.
go. So in one case, you just don't believe in the verdict, in the other case you do,
because
but one you say is factual and one is not.
Beaten in and his face pulverized.
Those facts aren't actually true.
Okay.
No, he did not. He did not have his head beaten.
We're never going to agree because in the
I covered the case.
Cover of your book, so did I, in depth with the lawyers for the cases every day.
No, I covered the case as well.
Well, that's good, but I think I know as much as you do about the case. To be fair.
Well, pulverized and face, those are factually inaccurate statements that you just made.
Okay.
They actually are.
To me, this is factually inaccurate. The killing of Trayvon Martin, you refer to in the jacket of your book, as a tragedy.
It absolutely was. A 17-year-old boy was. First of all,
he was a thug.
That is not true.
Who attacked a cop.
That is not true.
He didn't attack a cop.
That is not true.
He didn't attack a cop.
Excuse me. George Zimmerman was not a police officer.
No.
George Zimmerman was not a police officer.
He was not a police officer. Not Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown.
You just said Trayvon Martin was a thug who attacked a cop.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading.
That's what you just said.
I read it. I'm talking about Michael Brown. Okay, I'm talking about Michael Brown.
Okay.
What's your take on Michael Brown?
My take on the Michael Brown case is that here you had, for African Americans, the way that I first saw that case was seeing his dead body being posted on social media. This was a young man whose body was left lying in the street
for a reason,
for 4 hours.
For a reason.
And as human beings, if we look at something like that happening, in any other case, we would look at that and be horrified.
It's a red
but
herring.
I think you have a set of circumstances now in which I have to say, post Trayvon Martin, every case of African Americans being killed by police.
Was Michael Brown a thug who beat up a cop?
He was not.
No, did he beat up a cop? Did he attack a cop?
Every case of African American death is immediately
Joy.
written off as something that the person who's dead deserved to have happen.
Did the cop not have a right to defend himself and shoot him?
First of all, this is a case in which the police officer bagged all of his own evidence, tagged all of his own evidence.
Think Michael Brown was innocent?
And I don't think the case was confirmed.
You think Michael Brown didn't deserve to be shot?
No, he did not deserve. No one deserves to be shot down in the street and left in the street.
If you deserve,
they certainly do not.
If you attack
they
a cop,
certainly do not.
If you attack a cop, you not deserve to be shot?
They certainly do not.
If you attack a cop, you deserve to be shot if the cop has to defend himself.
First of all, you're applying a set of circumstances to that case
that
don't apply to that case.
This is why Fracture is an important book. We can never agree.
On the facts.
Joy and Reid, thank you for coming on. Appreciate it. All right, we're coming back, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, if you want to vote on who you think is going to win the Republican nomination, we didn't get to that part yet. Newsmaxpolls.com. Go to newsmaxpolls.com. Cast your vote because we want to know what you think. Get your copy of Ben Carson's book, One Nation, absolutely free. All you have to do is pay $4.95 to cover the cost of shipping. Plus, when you order your free book, you'll also receive 3 trial issues of Newsmax magazine at no additional cost. Call 1-800-485-4350 right now.